Good evening, Tallahassee. Starting off the show with a beautiful view of Doak Campbell Stadium. You can see all those clouds in the sky. It's a very cool 69 degrees outside. It feels absolutely beautiful. As you can see, those clouds just rolling right on over Tallahassee and covering up the majority of the Big Bend region. As we go into further throughout the week, you can see this cold front that's going to be moving through the southeast, bringing rain to currently a lot of states just north of us, and we're going to see the effects of that on us later in the show. Now, as for tonight, we're looking for things to cool off a little bit, down to 60 degrees, so a little chillier than it is right now. Make sure to keep that jacket on you, and those clouds are going to hang around as well. Most of the sky is going to be covered. Not a great night for stargazing. As we're looking into our 3-day forecast, tomorrow it's going to be a warm 79 degrees. Wednesday we're seeing temperatures at 80, and then there's that chance of rain on Thursday, and we're going to get to that later. But for now, my name is student meteorologist Jessica Kirk, and you're watching FSU Weather.
Oh, I love that new intro. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. This is our Monday, February 10th edition of FSU Weather. I'm meteorologist Jay Karstens.
I'm student meteorologist Chris Knoll.
And, well, today was a very warm welcome to the week, we'll say. Temperatures getting up into those middle 70s, starting to feel progressively more, a little warmer outside after we had that big cool down Friday. Of course, we came to you guys off the heels of a pretty nasty, severe event that happened on Thursday here, but much better now.
Yeah, I was shaping up to a pretty fantastic week. It felt really nice walking outside. It might be because I lost like 2.5 pounds of hair recently.
Of course, that definitely helps with the warmer temperatures, albeit apologies in advance if I'm shivering a little bit. They're doing some AC testing upstairs, and my lab is 60, but not necessarily the case down here in the studio, thankfully. We'll see temperatures continue to warm a little bit over the next couple of days or so, setting up for our next rainmaker, which we'll preview later in the show.
Yeah, it's going to be shaping up to be a warm start to the week. Got some potential rain coming in, but
setting up to be essentially a carbon copy of last week, minus, of course, the severe threat, thankfully, that we'll be seeing later in the week. We'll see middle to late week, maybe about Thursday or so, looking for our rain chances to start picking back up again. But after that, setting up for another cool down just in time for the return of Florida State baseball Friday night, which I cannot be any more excited for.
Yeah, we've been pretty good at baseball in the past few years, so hoping that trend continues to go on. Yeah,
entering the new era here with Mike Martin Jr. taking the helm, so it'll be a bit of a cool night out there, but looking forward to that later on this week. But for now, we got plenty of weather to talk about, especially in the southeast, as Mike Alana is going to have out at the wall for you.
Yeah, thanks, Jake and Chris, and really active conditions across the southeast, especially in the southern Appalachians and northern Mississippi and northern Alabama. This 12-hour loop shows you that we've had a lot of rain over those locations. You can see not much of it has been moving away from those locations, and as a result, have a lot of flash flood watches and warnings in effect for northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, and now entering into Georgia. It's all due to this frontal boundary you see right here, and it's not going to really move over the next 3 to 4 days. So a lot of rain is expected for these locations, and they've already had 4 to 5 inches of rain just today alone, and that's on top of the rain they got in this year and back in December as well. You can see a lot of these flash flood watches and warnings in effect, with the flash flood watches in green and the flash flood warnings in red. We actually had a flash flood emergency in Birmingham earlier this afternoon, so a lot of rain has fallen, and then also a little bit of severe weather with a severe thunderstorm warning in southwest Mississippi as well. Now, south of that frontal boundary, it has gotten really warm for especially February standards, low to mid-70s in the southern Alabama, southern Georgia, and southern Mississippi, and also in Louisiana regions. But then north of that frontal boundary, much cooler with some rainy conditions as well, 51 in Atlanta and 54 in Charlotte, 56 in Nashville. Now, the dew points, you can see it's also very humid and very tropical south of that frontal boundary, with 70 degrees in New Orleans, 63 in Montgomery, but much drier air north of that boundary, with 53 in Nashville and 48 in Atlanta. So the muggy meter feels very sticky out there if you're out in New Orleans, but not as bad up towards Atlanta, Charlotte, and Nashville, but you have a lot of rain to deal with. So even though the air is comfortable, you're dealing with a lot of rain and eventually going to deal with those flooding concerns. You can also notice with the frontal boundary how you have some easterly winds north of it and then southerly winds south of it. And so that's going to really enhance the moisture and flooding threat in those regions once again with that frontal boundary not moving much. And that's what our next 24 hours show. Notice how we had these disturbances just riding along the front. And again, these locations have seen at least 4 to 5 inches of rain, some of them just today alone. We're expecting another 3 to 5 inches up until Thursday, until this upper level disturbance you see out towards Texas finally drags a cold front through the southeast and brings some much drier conditions finally by the weekend. But we have to deal with a lot of rain over the course of the next few days, especially north of the I-85 and I-20 corridor in the southeast. Now for tonight's forecast, you can notice how conditions are pretty warm south of that front with 66 in Montgomery and 41 in Little Rock. And then for tomorrow, same thing with that frontal boundary still lingering around with a lot of rain, especially in Atlanta, Montgomery, Birmingham, and Jackson. Now let's send out to Chris with the first local.
Thank you, Michael. As we're starting moving in on our satellite and radar, you can see you got some clouds persisting throughout the area, but it was shaping up to be a fairly dry-ish day. Got a lot of cloudy conditions going around here. That's going to keep us pretty cool. Right now we're sitting at a nice calm 69 degrees, 69 in St. Mark's, 64 in Carabel, around 70 degrees in Thomasville. Our dew points right now are a little bit higher. We're sitting in the lower 60s with Monticello being our warmest dew point at 63 degrees, which is going to be making us feel a little bit muggy right now. Right now, for our wind speeds, we've got some winds coming out from the Gulf. That's going to be adding to the moisture in our atmosphere with a little bit of scatter winds going around with the crazy frontal boundary that's north of us. Over the next 24 hours, you can see these clouds are going to start moving on through the area with a little bit of this disturbance pushing on into the area, bringing a slight chance of rain in our future. But right now, tonight's forecast, we're going to be sitting pretty cool, 60 degrees, around the 60s. It's going to be 61 tonight in Tallahassee. It's going to be cloudy. It's not going to be a good night to stargaze, but it's not going to be feeling super chilly outside. So we're going to start be looking on into tomorrow. It's going to shaping up to be another cloudy day. If you're living in Bainbridge, you might have a scattered thunderstorm or two in the area, but overall it's going to be pretty cloudy. Not the worst conditions, as it could be raining, pouring down rain, but it's not shaping up to be a beautiful sunny day. It's going to be a little warm on our 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, 79 degrees. Wednesday, it's going to be very warm, 80 degrees. Don't normally hit 80 degrees in February, but here down in Florida, you can expect maybe 1 or 2 days reaching 80 degrees. It's not going to be very comfortable. Thursday, you're going to have your rainmaker as that front is actually eventually going to start making its way towards us. It's not going to be nearly as bad as last Friday, my bad, but you're still going to have that 60% chance of rain. It's going to be not pleasant conditions, and it's going to actually cool us down quite a bit from this 10-degree drop in high temperatures from Thursday into Friday as the storm's going to start clearing up. It's going to shape up to being a nice, better weekend. Weekend's going to start nice at a good temperature of 69 degrees. It's going to be feeling very great. Weekend's going to be moving on in. But for now, I'm going to send things off to the desks with Jesse and Michael.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we got a great segment for you guys tonight. We're actually going to be talking about this day in weather history, starting with 1899. So, really a long time ago, Monterey, Virginia actually experienced negative 29 degrees. So, this is a record for Virginia, and as far as I know, it still holds the record for the coldest temperature in the state.
Yeah, and 1899 was also home of a very, very cold, strong cold snap, and actually that's where we set our coldest temperature in Florida. Actually, I think tomorrow for Tallahassee, they got down to -2. So this is related to that same cold snap. Now in 1973 on this day, there was also a snowstorm in the southeast, and 18 inches of snow was recorded in Georgia, 2 feet in South Carolina. That set the records for the snowfall in both of those states. And
you're from Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen snow like that?
Well, we've had interesting snow events like in 2014 where we had awful conditions on the roads. And then also, just the other day in Atlanta, north of Atlanta, they actually got their snow. We'll get into that a little bit later with my Desk with Jake.
Oh, yeah. And then, so 1982, moving forward, in Bismarck, North Dakota, they had their 45th consecutive day of having sub-zero temperatures. So, first of all, cannot imagine being in sub-zero temperatures for 45 days in a row.
The northern plains can be brutal in the wintertime. Thank God.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely cannot imagine that.
And then finally in 2010, there was Snowmageddon 2 in Washington, D.C. I know you were from D.C. for a little bit.
Yes, I lived in D.C. for 4 years, so I actually got to experience this. The fun story is I actually was in the process of moving, and my family moved the day after this happened. I remember schools were canceled. Part of the federal government was actually canceled. I mean, it was horrible for that area.
Yeah. Luckily, it's not extremely cold or extremely snowy like it was back on these years, but we're going to take a look at what's happening around the nation with Jake on the wall.
Well, I can tell you one place that was extremely cold. It is actually here. Diamond Lake, Wisconsin this morning woke up to a low of negative 22 degrees. Obviously nowhere close to Tallahassee, but towards the southern part of the United States here, we actually saw some temperatures getting up into the 90s in February. You see here Zapata, Texas, right along the Rio Grande, yesterday's highest for the United States. Now we look at our satellite and radar across the country, and there are plenty of features to point out here with a couple of frontal boundaries that I'm really going to focus on for the rest of the time here. First of all, this boundary draped across the southeast here, you see this big shield of rain moving in through Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and even up into the mid-Atlantic states. Some severe weather associated with that, a slight risk for severe weather currently in place for the rest of the day from the Storm Prediction Center. And even off into the southwest, we have a low that's centered over Arizona, bringing some pretty heavy rain into portions of the desert southwest, which is a little bit unusual for this time of year out there. Now we zoom into the mid-Atlantic, and a pretty healthy shield of moderate rain stretching all the way up through even New York and Boston up the Interstate 95 corridor at this time. Some of those showers are starting to push over into the Atlantic Ocean here, and hopefully we're going to start to see those conditions improving in the next, say, 4 to 6 hours or so for some of the heavy metro areas over there. Now if we go in towards Texas, that's where we're starting to get into a bit more of our thunderstorm threat, as well as even some snowfall behind the front in portions of the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles. You see that well-defined transition zone here in these pink shadings indicating wintry precipitation mixes. You can see a rain-snow mix, maybe some sleet, some freezing rain in areas like that. But some thunderstorms in through Dallas and other portions of the southeast, and of course up in the Rocky Mountains. They still get snow this time of year, and this is no exception. Areas like Billings, stretching down towards Denver, getting some pretty healthy snowfall at this time. And you see that front really well here in the temperatures, especially in Texas, where we pointed out that 94-degree high down in Zapata yesterday. We're seeing temperatures in the 30s if you go north towards Dallas, Fort Worth right now, and even seeing some snow in portions of the Texas Panhandle. So that really goes to show just how crazy this is in just one state. The dew point map also shows a pretty similar feature here, this pocket of very muggy air, especially centered over Louisiana, where dew points along the coast and even some inland areas are getting towards 70 degrees at this time. Now, over the next 48 hours, we're going to continue to watch this frontal system because we're going to be looking for the potential of a severe outbreak to be developing on Wednesday through the remainder of the day. We could see an overnight squall line threat and even some potential isolated tornadoes out ahead of it if you get some discrete supercell thunderstorms to form in the evening hours. And you see this line here stretching through portions of the southeast. This will move overnight Wednesday here, so an enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5 is currently out by the Storm Prediction Center out ahead of this potential severe weather system here. So we're not going to be seeing much around Tallahassee, looking pretty good for us with regards to that. But as for tonight, temperature is going to be very warm in the southeast out ahead of that front. 68 for a low, not a high in New Orleans. That front just creeps ever so slightly to the south and east, but not enough forcing yet in Tallahassee to bring us any significant rainfall, at least for tomorrow. But now, here with Jesse.
Thank you, Jake. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and look at Tallahassee. And actually, for our rainfall, we had a little bit on Thursday. We all experienced that severe weather. Normally, we get just a little bit on days like today. And for the year so far, we're actually a little bit behind. If you remember, for the majority of the fall semester, we were in a drought. So hopefully, we'll continue to pick things up and get more rain as we're going into the end of February. Those clouds are still hanging around here in the Big Bend, Tallahassee, pretty fairly covered up. If you go outside, you'll see that it is hard to see the sun peeking out behind the clouds. Just like Chris was saying earlier, we got that 69 degrees in Tallahassee. It feels absolutely beautiful outside. And all around the area, we're seeing temperatures nearing 70. And those clouds are hanging around just about everywhere, except for the sun peeking out in Valdosta and Perry. Those temperatures are a little bit warmer. They're seeing 73 and 74 degrees as they're entering into this evening. Dew points around the Panhandle are also fairly mild. We've got that 61 in Tallahassee. They're in the low to mid 60s just north of us as well. And down by the coast, they're also seeing 61 in Apalachicola and 61 in Carabel. As for the muggy meter, Tallahassee's feeling okay, just a little muggy. About how I might feel tonight, but in St. Mark's, you better have a smiley face because it actually feels even better down there than it does in the rest of our area. So hopefully you guys are feeling a little bit less sticky than we are. Now those wind speeds are showing us that we do have a little bit of that sea breeze pulling up. That's 7 miles per hour in St. Mark's. Tallahassee, a little bit less breezy with 6 mile per hour winds, and even up into inland into Georgia, we're seeing a little bit breezy weather there. 13 mile per hour winds in Thomasville. And over the next 24 hours, those clouds are going to continue, a little patchy tomorrow, and then we even get those chance of showers in the area. Although most of them are expected to stay a little bit to the west, we can't rule out the possibility of there being a sprinkle or two. As for tonight, it's going to be about 60 degrees. Those clouds are going to hang around, and we got a very slight breeze from the south. And for tomorrow, 79 degrees. We're almost nearing 80. Those clouds are going to stick around to shield us a little bit from the sun, but might want to break out those shorts, maybe wear a t-shirt because things are going to warm up for the next day or two. Wednesday, that high actually does hit 80 and our lows are in 60, 65, so it's not going to be very chilly. And then Thursday, the rain comes back. High of 74, and then as we're looking into the weekend, 64 on Friday, so a little chilly, and then into Saturday and Sunday, things are going to warm back up into the low 70s. Definitely watch out for that low of 40 on Friday night if you have any plans. Just make sure not to put those jackets away yet because we still have some cooler weather coming as we're not out of February. I'm going to go ahead and pass things off to the desk with Jake and Michael.
Yeah, so we're seeing those temperatures getting to about 80 degrees for the next couple days. But if y'all remember that cool down we had back on Friday, Saturday, you go just a little bit up to the north and things were just a little bit more fun, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a crazy week up towards Atlanta. They were 80 degrees at the beginning of the week.
Yep.
Then they had the severe weather. And then on Saturday, when that trough moved through, that dip in the jet stream, there was a little weak disturbance that had enough moisture to work with, and yes, we got snow up in North Atlanta.
Yeah, so we got some videos here. Friend of the program here, right? Andrew
Yep.
Anand got to send these in to Michael. He tweeted them out a few days ago. Look at some of these pictures that you're seeing out of the state of Georgia. It's really phenomenal to see.
Yeah, it was a quick hitter, about 3 hours. Some places actually picked up about 6 to 8 inches of snow up in the northeast mountains in Georgia. Here at my house in Atlanta, about 1.5 inches. Normally my dad is playing golf Saturday morning, but he had to deal with that and had to cancel his round.
Yeah, so luckily though for the rest of the city, the snow mainly stayed up to the north and western suburbs. It didn't really get anything downtown, so it wasn't complete and utter chaos like it might be when you get those sort of snow events.
But fun fact, Atlanta did set a snowfall record for the day because they got a trace. Yes, that beat the record of 0. So yeah, they set a record.
It's something, and hey, for us here in Tallahassee, when we get snow, one time in 32 years or whatever happened back in 2018, I guess we'll, a little bit more perspective for us, right?
Yeah, and Atlanta, they do get like 2 to 3 snow events a year, but this actually, it ended the streak for the 7th longest snowfall streak snowless streak for Atlanta. So
yeah,
it's been a while since they've had some measurable snow, but man, it's incredible what sudden snow events are like.
We'll finish up by just a quick preview. We're going to have another fun weather history coming up later in the week on one of our close to home biggest snowfall events on record that happened pretty close to right now. But for now, let's take things out of the wall where Chris Null has our Florida.
Thank you, Jake. Right now, it's shaping up to be a pretty beautiful day in the Sunshine State. There's not a lot of rain going on. You got a little bit of rain sitting in Miami, and a little bit of cloud cover up by the Panhandle. But for the most part, Florida's sitting nice, clear skies, living up to its name as the Sunshine State. With those clearer skies, you're going to see the warmer temperatures right now in 80 degrees in St. Mark's as a warm spot. For most Central Florida, you're going to be in Central and South Florida, you're going to be sitting in the upper 70s. The Panhandles, with that more cloud cover, you're going to have those lower temperatures. of 70 and 69 in Tallahassee. Our dew points, we're sitting fairly muggy, nothing too terrible. 61 Tallahassee, 60 Jacksonville. But when you move down closer to the south, where you have those warmer temperatures, you're going to be closer to the water, like Key West, you're going to have a higher dew point of 70 degrees. Our muggy meter, we're feeling not terrible. It could be worse. We're feeling very humid in Pensacola as well as South Florida, where they're experiencing rainfall. But overall, we're just a little bit muggy. It's pretty meh. It could be better, but at least we're thankful that it's not super humid or oppressive at the moment. Our wind speeds, we're going to have a lot of sort of converging winds going all over the place right now. But for the most part, they're coming off of the coast, which is going to be increasing the amount of water moisture, raising those dew points, making us feel a little bit muggy. But over the next 24 hours, you're going to see some storms rotate from the southeast upwards, but nothing too bad to worry about, as well as over in the Panhandle, you're going to have a few scattered showers pass in to sort of break off the frontal boundary as it sort of staggers out throughout most of the southeast. Overall, for tonight's forecast, expect a little bit of clouds to persist. If you live in Pensacola, you have a chance for a thunderstorm tonight, but overall it's going to be fairly cloudy. Temperatures in the mid-60s. Tomorrow's forecast, though, it's going to shape up to be a very warm day. It's going to be 86 degrees in Orlando. This is not, if you're going to Disney, you definitely want to be wearing a tank top. It's going to be very warm. Pensacola, you're going to have a chance for some showers, but for now, I'm going to hand things off to Michael with our third local look.
Yeah.
Lifestyle.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Chris. And we're going to take a look at what's happening right now here in Tallahassee with that FSU weather stem cam. A little cloudy conditions, so you can't really see the sunset perfectly well, but at least it's some nice conditions out there, and it's really warm compared to how the last few days have been, especially on Friday and Saturday. Now, out towards the airports here in Tallahassee, some cloudy conditions, so no airport concerns with that temperature of 69 degrees right now. And across the nation, there might be some concerns up towards JFK and in Atlanta due to the rain and low clouds and low ceilings. But overall, no delays right now, but that could change in the next few hours for those airports. Now for the dog walking forecast with Louie in the background, very nice conditions out there for tomorrow with some mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the low to mid-60s as we head towards the lunchtime hour. Now we have a huge game tonight at 7 o'clock, Big Monday, which is FSU going on the road to Durham, North Carolina to play the Duke Blue Devils, number 8 against number 7 in the AP poll. A little rainy conditions out there, 57 degrees, but it is indoors, and this is a huge matchup to keep up with Louisville in the ACC regular season standings. So let's hope we get a win and keep up with Louisville for that game later in the month on the 24th. Now, softball, they're continuing the season, had 2 big wins against number 1 Alabama, so they'll be rising in the polls as well. 80 degrees for that game against FAMU on Wednesday with first pitch at 6 p.m. Now, the cold front will move through Thursday night, and some much cooler conditions for the baseball opener against Niagara on Friday with the first pitch at 6 p.m. So, new era for FSU baseball with Mike Martin Jr. at the helm. And finally, for your school week planner, you can see the conditions are very warm for the first 2 days of the school week with 79 and 80 degrees on Wednesday. The front moves through on Thursday with that 60% chance of rain, and then much cooler conditions with 64 degrees on Friday. Now let's send it off to Jake with the final look into Tallahassee.
All right, thanks, Michael. Let's wrap things up here with our almanac for today in Tallahassee. A much warmer than average day is what we saw. A high of 74 degrees and a low of 51. We're going to see that trend continuing over the next couple of days. In particular, those low temperatures are going to be well above average, so you'll be waking up to some pretty mild mornings out there. As the afternoon has carried on, we've noticed an increase in cloud cover through the day. You still saw a little bit of sun peeking through as the sun went down over Doak Campbell Stadium. However, these clouds are going to be sticking around for the next couple of days as that frontal system is just off to our northwest. Enough forcing to get that cloud cover, but not quite enough to get any rainfall in the area quite yet. But temperatures are also quite warm in the area. A little bit cooler down by the coast, 63 in Carabel, 66 in Apalachicola. But as you move more inland, temperatures getting a little bit closer to 70. Even Valdosta currently sitting at 74 degrees under partly cloudy skies just about now. pretty muggy out there as well. Dew points largely in those lower 60s. We're seeing Tallahassee at 61, Monticello 64, and pretty consistent across the region. That trend will also be continuing and even bumping up just a little bit as that frontal system continues to work its way in closer to the region. And a big reason for that, of course, these winds largely out of the south. This is what we tend to see ahead of these cold fronts anyways. So we're seeing largely southwesterly winds, sometimes getting a bit breezy. We were seeing some gusts up to about 25 miles per hour in Tallahassee earlier, subsiding a little bit down to about 6 miles per hour sustained here in the capital city. But over the next 24 hours, we'll see those clouds continuing to build in the region and even starting to see some of our northwestern counties beginning to get a little bit of rainfall, just some isolated showers. Not really expecting anything too crazy, not even a rumble of thunder out there. Should be hanging okay in Tallahassee, but a mostly cloudy day is what we're going to be looking forward to. Despite the clouds, the warmth will continue to build relative to what we've been seeing over the past few days, especially after that cold front moved through back on Friday. But as for tonight, temperatures largely around 60 degrees. Again, mostly cloudy skies hanging around most of the area. A little bit cloudier as we go off to our north and west where that frontal system is located, but no rainfall expected in our area quite yet. But as for tomorrow, could see some showers start to build in towards Bainbridge, Quincy, areas further off to the northwest near the Georgia-Alabama border, for example, and temperatures starting to creep up towards 80 degrees. We could even see some of our spots exceeding 80 off to our north and west. Tallahassee should be sticking around largely in those upper 70s. But as for the 7-day forecast, again, Wednesday just about the same, maybe getting towards 80 degrees, which is pretty rare for this time of year. We always have a couple of times in February, but it's relatively uncommon, about 10 to 15 degrees above average. Thursday, that rain threat begins to build in, and then again, the cold front comes through Thursday night, just like last week. Thankfully, no severe threat this time, but setting up for just a fantastic weekend. Partly cloudy skies, and temperature is going to be in those lower 70s as we work into the beginning of next week. What do you guys think of the desk?
Well, I think that we have some bad news for Chris because you're not going to be able to wear jeans when it's 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a very sad day for tomorrow and Wednesday.
Yeah, sad day when it's 80 in February. Look, I cannot say that I'm disappointed that it's going to be 80 degrees, but I'm a little bit jealous of places that got a little bit of snow today, yesterday. I know my roommate showed me a picture from where she's from, Wisconsin, and it was snowing there. So
yeah, I'm missing a little bit of snow. I mean, it's the anniversary of Snowmageddon. I'm from Virginia. I remember getting those 3 feet of snow. It was fantastic.
Yeah, but we're not going to get any snow, just some rain later in the week. And like we keep saying, those really hot temperatures over the next few days, far above average. I'm not really looking forward to the rain to come back either on Thursday.
Well, I am looking forward to the rain on Thursday because it's going to start cooling those temperatures down. It's going to be 64 degrees on Friday. Excellent jeans weather.
Well, and 40 degrees that night. If you're out after sunset, those temperatures are going to feel pretty chilly. So definitely going to want to wear jeans on Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night, jeans, maybe a jacket if you're planning to go out. Shaping up to be a pretty good weekend, too, as Sarah's going to start off with a nice and cool 69 degrees with a high.
And then the basketball game. So
Yeah.
walking to the basketball game, it's going to be wonderful weather, about 69 once again. But don't forget to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/FSU weather.
And like us on Facebook at facebook.com/FSU weather.
And hopefully you are watching us live on YouTube. We have our show every weekday at 6 p.m.
And follow us at Instagram at FSU weather.
Yeah, and if you have any nice weather pictures, go ahead and send those in to us because we love to see them.
Yeah, if you have any cool pictures for current weather that's happening right now, we'll happily share them out free blog or whatever
Yeah,
Instagram
absolutely.
uses.
But I'm student meteorologist Jessica Kirk.
I'm student meteorologist Chris Knoll.
Have a great night, guys.
Thanks.